Thank you very much. My name is Mark Lomas. This is probably where I'm going to stand. Thank you for that introduction. I've been in Hong Kong for about 22 years and I have worked on some fantastic infrastructure projects. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a talk about my experience. Not so much a CV with pictures, there are no pictures, you've just got to look at me for 10 minutes. And a little bit about managing projects and the future of managing projects. But forgive me, I'm going to use cue cards. They're not as big as Lawrence's, but I need to refer to these. Now, people say when you're presenting, you should know your audience, and it's not a surprise to me where my invite came from. Thank you, Katie. But the surprise is why you invite me, because my experience of TEDx is that they are purposeful, insightful, inspirational talks by subject matter experts. So why invite me? What could you possibly learn? What would you want to hear from me? And in preparing for tonight, this question took me a lot of time to think about. And I was also recently talking to my father. He was over here for a long time over Christmas, and one of our conversations, as many of our conversations do, turn to politics and the state of the nation, and in his case, the state of the UK. And as I was talking to my father, a lot of it was fascinating, and a lot of it I thought, oh my goodness, not again. Because he has a lot of generational views that are very different from my own, but it helped me think about tonight. And an audience that is largely, I hope, a younger generation, and what I could bring to you and what I could talk about that would be useful to you, the younger generation. So I want to speak about something that may be helpful to you in your future. Firstly, what do I know about? Well, the second thing about presenting to people is stick to what you know. Don't waver off a message. When you waver off a message, you go far, far wrong. And I learned that from bitter experience when I was presenting to LegCo at a select committee a couple of years ago. That's for another day. Stay on message, don't stray too far. So what I'm going to talk about is projects and managing projects and hopefully the future of managing projects. Now, management is often spoken about as the art of getting things done through people. And in my time in Hong Kong, I've worked on some fantastic projects with some fascinating and very diverse teams made up of very, very different people. And at some point in your working life, the younger generation in here, you may work in projects, in project-based teams, project environments, or even as a project manager. And at that point, you're going to have to interact with a whole range of people. And people are difficult. Believe me, people can be very, very difficult. But before I get to that, let me digress a little. In many areas of life now, we're seeing a bit of a return to traditional ways of doing things. Digital sales are outstripping vinyl, e-readers are not selling, and bookshops are a little resurgent. So I'm wondering if it's a little too much of a stretch to imagine that our social lives are going to get a little less digital and a little more personal. After all, most of you here, certainly the younger generation, will have a huge social media presence. And have you, as you move on to college, thought about how your social media presence is going to present you as a person? Is it going to represent who you are and what you stand for, what your beliefs and your perspectives are? And further than that, into the workplace. Not only does it represent you to your future employer, and I know as an employer that I check people's social media to see what sort of person a candidate is. But will it help you build relationships that will help you in the workplace? Now, you may use social media to build and nurture your friendships at the moment, but have you considered how this is going to help you get things done? For as I said earlier, management is the art of getting things done through people. And in my experience, if you understand, and you understand the perspectives of the people you have to work with, you don't have to like them, they don't have to be your friends, but you have to work with them. And if you learn to trust and respect and understand their beliefs and their perspectives, you end up with a better result. Now, I was in my design meeting this morning, as I am every Wednesday morning, and my team was all there, and I recalled a couple of weeks ago, after watching YouTube, and there's an old man who watched YouTube, there was a talk on YouTube about a lack of social interaction in the workplace. And I watched this video and I got into work the next day for my 8:30 design meeting And before the meeting started, everybody was there like this. And I remember thinking what a missed opportunity to build a relationship with the people that they have to work with for the next 2 or 3 years. They were probably having a great time chatting to someone 10 miles or 10,000 miles away. People they really liked and wanted to spend their time on. But they have to work with the people in the room, and this is where I get back to. I recall when I was much younger, screaming at a colleague who'd committed me to something I knew nothing about. And in hindsight, it was a mistake, built on immaturity and not knowing how to deal with people and to understand their perspectives and why they do certain things in certain ways. Now, all these years later in my experience, I know that most people go to work intending to do a good job. But their version of a good job is framed very differently because of their upbringing, their culture, their beliefs, their background, their perspective. And if you don't interact with people, you don't understand these things, and it's therefore much more difficult to work with them and get them to do the things you need them to do when you need them to do it. Now, in project management these days, we talk a lot of alignment, everyone working towards common goals and common objectives. But those many years ago, we did not. So as you work, as you start work, if you take notice, you can become more aware of how others work, how they frame their work, how they approach it. And you can choose to accelerate that interest by taking an active interest in people. And here you have, for students in Hong Kong, a unique advantage, because you're packed in with 7 million culturally, socially, ethnically diverse people. You have a microcosm of the whole world here. And if you can understand all those backgrounds and perspectives, when you go out into the workplace, you'll know people's cultures and how they should operate. And you may not appreciate that, but it's something that's all around you in this school right now and in your immediate environment, and you could start to use it to your advantage. Now, as I said earlier, I've been fortunate to work on some fantastic projects with some fantastic people. I built a hospital, not single-handedly, clearly, but over 5 years I got to meet the builders and the designers, and I got to know the administrators and the doctors and the nurses and the government employees who are responsible for spending government money, and the administrators and the clients. And all of these people wanted to do a good job. They all wanted the project to be a success, but success to them was framed slightly differently. They all had a different idea of what success looked like. I designed 2 major refurbishments out at the airport. We had to move every single office that was used by customs, immigration, port health and police. And they all came at it with a different perspective. They all wanted it to be a good job, but their version of a good job was very different. And only by understanding all these things were we able to make the project a success for all of them. Now, project management itself is a fairly new profession, and there's a lot of guidance about project management and how to deliver projects within time, on budget, to the required quality, which is the so-called iron triangle, and beyond to some of the social and environmental aspects, stakeholder management, risk management, and the like. There are lots of associations. I'm a member of 2. There are Twitter feeds, there is all sorts of information and advice on how to manage projects. But given the importance of understanding people and working with people of different beliefs and perspectives, I'm surprised there's so little coverage in the association's bodies of knowledge. A few years ago, I was reviewing the standards as part of the Standards Review Committee, and some bright spark somewhere in the UK had suggested we'll put in time zones for anyone working on projects that cover more than one country. And I was quite horrified. We're going to put in time zones, but we're not going to talk about culture, diversity, people having different perspectives. And I made that point quite forcibly. And the reason I was able to make that point is because of the relationships that I built on one of those airport projects with a particular consultant who introduced me to that organisation and then helped me to get involved. And getting involved in that organisation and building relationships in that organisation has helped me a lot professionally and helped me in the way that I work and the way that I manage projects. So I would urge you, whatever field you choose, to invest some time in people, real time, and I mean real people, your people, the people immediately around you, not 6,000 miles away on Snapchat. Because if you are investing time in people and understanding their perspectives, you're far more likely to get a good outcome from someone you have that real relationship with, someone you trust. It's a skill that's going to serve you well in the future. And this is where I get back to where I digressed about 5-6 minutes ago. I'm going to make reference to the future of project management, the title of this short talk, because in the future there will be a lot of projects and they will be managed by people. And those projects will be managed better by you if you understand the people and the perspectives of those people and the beliefs and the reasons that they approach projects in a different way. Now, I don't know if your social media friendships will enable you to do that in the right way, but I do urge you to think about it because you guys will be the future of managing projects. Thank you.